Let's quickly run through the related parties and transfer pricing documentation. What is related party? These related parties can be between natural persons and juridical persons. So person A is owning 50% or more of a company B share capital, then these two become related parties. So this person may control company B. So these two become related parties. So any individual having shares investment, which is equivalent to 50% or more of that particular company, or he is controlling the business of that particular company by taking the decisions, then these two, this natural person and that company becomes related party. It's not only between individual and company, but it could be between companies also. Company A could be owning 50% or more of company B, then these two companies become related party. Or if company A is owning shares in companies through company B, and if that total amount becomes 50% or more of company A, company C share capital. In this way, means directly or indirectly through some of the subsidiaries, if companies are owning 50% or more of the other companies, then these companies become related parties. It is obvious that you have interest. So you have a control or an interest to regulate the business of those other related parties. So in that process, you can also manipulate the rates that you levy or charge for the transactions that you have with the related parties. What kind of transactions you could see between these related parties, which could come under this transfer pricing documentation, which we need to be careful about. Any services that are being provided between these related parties who are connected. Some things like IT, ITS, sales, marketing. So any kind of services, if they are happening, so they will be considered as transactions with related parties. Not only services, goods also. If the companies which are related, if they are doing any transaction between them, so all those transactions like purchase of goods, sale of goods, and so on, they will be considered as related party transactions. Utilization or usage of tangible properties. Company A may be having the asset, but company B, which is related party, may be using this particular asset for their business. So all these transactions and arrangements will fall under this related party transactions. Financing arrangements, intra-company rules or intra-group loans, all this will come under this. Intellectual properties, royalty, licensing fees paid between these related parties will come under this transfer pricing or related party transactions. Capital transactions, of course, they'll come under this. Any intra-group services, cost contribution arrangements, business restructuring, reorganizations between the group entities, if they are not becoming a tax group. Any domestic transaction between mainland business with free zone persons, if they are related, so they will fall under this category. And transaction with connected persons, which we'll look at later. So all these transactions will fall under related party transactions, and they need to comply with specific documentation, which we'll look at later. Not only related parties, there is a concept called connected persons. So far, we have seen arrangement with individual to a company, like in the form of shareholding or between companies. This is with respect to individuals with the company, but not for business. Like owners. Owner of a company is considered as a connected person for the company. Not only owner, a director of the company, an officer who is an influential or responsible position in the company, they are also considered as connected persons for the company. Not only them, but the relatives of owner, director, or officer are also considered as connected persons for that particular company. So needless to say that if the company is getting into any transaction or arrangement with these connected persons, like owner or director or officer, they will be considered as related party transactions, and they should be looked at carefully. These are the few transactions that we can consider as. Now, when we say this relatives of the owner, director, and officer, so at what grade or kinship of relationship be considered as related persons? So they said that not only the individual and the immediate family, but they say that 4 generations above and 4 generations below. 4th degree kinship is what is mentioned as related parties for that particular individual for the connected persons definition. So means your parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and great-great-grandparents. All these will become related party for you. So is the case with your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great-grandchildren. So the companies now should be careful, like, they need to maintain a list of individuals who fall under this category. And if the company is doing any transactions with them, which any of them, they need to be careful that the prices that are being levied on those transactions are at arm's length. So most of the times we see this kind of transactions in our books of accounts. If you are paying any salary to the owner as a company, if the company is paying salary to the owner or a remuneration or any other similar nature of payment, they will be considered as transactions with connected persons. And you need to make sure that that is benchmarked and shown as an arm's length price. So for example, you're paying salary to our owner, company is paying salary to our owner, monthly, let's say 200,000 dirhams. But if you look at the service that owner is providing to the company, the same service is provided by a third party person. So you may not be paying 200,000 salary per month, but you may pay, let's say 30,000 dirhams as a salary per month if it is a third party. So this is what should be considered as a benchmark or arm's length pricing. So from 200,000, that entire amount of 200,000 which is paid as salary will not be allowed to be deducted from your revenue to compute taxes. You will be limited only to this 30,000 and the excess amount will be added back. So it means you can only show 30,000 as salary for your owner and the remaining balance should be added back. So that's what is the important thing that to consider now. Not only that, if the company is paying any rent to the owner or any other perquisites are given, or the company is paying interest on the loan given by the owner, director or officer, all those should be looked at and make sure that they are charged at market price. So you have various things to consider and we need to be careful for all these transactions to make adjustments.